Hi everybody, it's the season of Imbolc, and that means that I have a fantastic spell for you today using the powers of fire and ice to melt away all the obstacles that are in your path to getting all the success, happiness, love, abundance. So let's melt away those obstacles for Imbolc. Coming up next. Welcome to the Witch's Studio, which is once again actually the Witch's Dining Room, because today I'm doing a little bit of magic in the kitchen, which is right next door over here. I am, of course, Mickie Mueller, author, illustrator, and witch, not necessarily in that order. And today I have a absolutely beautiful spell for you. And I love bringing you guys these kinds of spells that are super easy to do with stuff that you have already got in your own home. No fuss, no muss, all magic. If this is the kind of thing that you have been looking for, you're in the right place. So be sure to hit the subscribe button. And while you're down there, ring that notification bell, because then you'll always know when I upload a new video. So the spell that I have for you guys today was inspired by one of the 8 articles that I wrote for the 2017 Llewellyn Sabbats Almanac. So in this issue of the Sabbats Almanac, I wrote all of the craft articles, one for every Sabbat of the year. So I got a little inspired by the crafts that I wrote for this one to make a spell out of this craft, you guys. These fire and ice globes. And here's the artist Wen Su's beautiful illustration that she did for my article. And of course, this is what they come out looking like. So I mean, this is a beautiful way to celebrate your Imbolc. They look really pretty and festive, but it's also a really powerful way to work with the energy of the season. Even if you don't have ice and snow where you are, it's still that energy of the winter months when the sun is starting to really be more noticeably in the sky longer throughout the day and things like this. And so we think of it as a warming thing, even if you're not living where there's ice and snow. Even though the season of Imbolc celebrates the thawing of the earth, it's oftentimes still very frozen this time of the year, depending on where you live, of course. So when we think about ice in the concepts of magic, ice can be a barrier for things. It holds things in stasis. It covers them and freezes them and keeps them from moving forward. Think of ice as water. And what is water? It's emotions, but in this case, emotions that are frozen. So dealing with emotional issues through a spell like this can be very useful. The element of water also has the power to erode away things that are in our way. So when we combine that with the idea of ice freezing and locking things up in this spell, what we do is we empower that ice that is encasing us, that is keeping us from progressing and moving forward, and we combine it with the power of fire, like the rising sun that is getting brighter and brighter in the sky all of the time at this time of year, and we harness that for our spell. Think about some other ways that you can use ice in your witchcraft. So if you freeze the obstacles into some ice, when you melt that ice, you release the obstacles out of your life, if that makes sense, because fire is the opposite. So this is the whole idea behind this spell. So let's go to the kitchen and I'll show you how I started this spell and how you can work it yourself. It's quite simple. So the first thing you're going to need for this spell are some balloons. I've got these little 12-inch balloons. You know, I got these at the dollar store. You don't have to use white. You can just use whatever color you have on hand. You're also going to need a permanent marker. And you're going to need some candles. 1 candle for each balloon that you decide to do. Now, I decided to do 3 in this spell. Just because I wanted to do 3. You could just do 1 if you want. You also need a few kitchen herbs. I used cinnamon, ginger. I wanted to use cayenne, but as you can see, I really like my cayenne. So there's really not very much left in there. So I decided instead to use some crushed red pepper. And the thing is, you just choose some herbs that to you are fiery, hot, and break down barriers. That's what you want. So you grab your balloon and you're just going to fit it over the top of your spigot on your sink. This is just like making water balloons, you guys, if you ever did that back in the day. Just fill it up. I like to kind of support it so it doesn't go flying off and spray water everywhere. Be careful when you do this because I don't want you to get water all over your kitchen. And just fill it until it's about the size that you want it to be. Just kind of gently take it off of the spigot and be careful because, yeah, as you can see, a little comes out of there. Now you just knot the end just like you would any balloon. Fairly simple. And there it is. Now you've got your balloon with the water in it. Okay, so the next step is you're going to want to dry that balloon off really well. You'll be glad that I turned the sound down for this because it was squeaking like crazy. Yet it couldn't dry because you're going to be writing on it soon. Now I grab a bowl. I like to use this to help stabilize it in the freezer or outside if you decide you're putting it outside. And the flat bottom on the bowl gives your ice lantern a nice flat bottom too, so that it doesn't roll all around once it's frozen. Okay, so this next step is where the barrier breaking comes in. Hold your balloon and just think about what kinds of things in your life have been blocking you, what barriers are in your path, whether you're trying to be more successful, whether you're trying to become more emotionally intelligent, whether you're trying to make the world a better place even. Just think about what are the things that are blocking you. So I came up with negative self-talk. That's one that I know a lot of people have, and I do too. So I came up with that. And I just used, a lot of different things because, I have a lot of goals throughout the year. And some of them are personal, and some of them are community goals, and some of them are global goals. So I just kind of worked on all of these different things. Oh, and health goals as well. Because we're working with water and ice, one of the correspondences with water is for healing. So if we have the frozen ice as a concept for whatever our ailments are, we can also help dissolve those as well. So for me, it's like inflammation and lots of health problems that relate to my Hashimoto's disease. So yeah, these are important things to think about. What stands in your way? What do you want to remove? Procrastination. I know my handwriting is terrible, but that's another one, you guys, is procrastination. That is a challenge for me to overcome. So I'm just going to put it into this spell and dissolve that away too. Anything that you want, you put it on there. If you don't want to write actual words, you're also welcome to create sigils for each individual barrier, and you can draw the sigils on there too. I chose to put implicit bias because this is a new thing that we've learned this year for a lot of us. For some of us, it's not so new. But implicit bias are little subtle things that have been taught to us without our permission throughout our lifetime that we need to get rid of because they're things that don't help us. And this is where a lot of implicit racism comes from. It's things that we've been implanted in our subconscious that we need to find and that we need to suss out. You need more than just the spell to do that, but it's a good place. It's a jumping off point, Taking things too personally was another one that I put, because that can be a real challenge for a lot of us, is taking things too personally. And I decided to share these with you guys because I thought it might help you to kind of come up with some of your own. And you might even share some of the same barriers that I have. As human beings, a lot of us have similar barriers that we need to overcome to get to where we want to be mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all these things. So there is mine. Now, the next thing you do is you just got through thinking about and writing all those down. Now you're going to empower the water inside of the balloon, and you basically want to just tell it, you are absorbing all of these barriers that I have in my way. Take these on. These are in the water. And then I sealed it by drawing a pentagram in the air over the top of it. You don't have to do it that way. That was just how I chose to do it. If there's another symbol that you prefer, or you prefer to just not do that at all, you can totally do it that way. Make this spell your own. You get to decide. That's the whole point of Studio Coven. I want you guys to use your creativity. So then I went ahead and placed it in the freezer, and it's going to sit in there for 5 to 6 hours, depending on how cold it is. You can also put it outside if you want. A cat may or may not come along to check out your work. Okay, so once every hour, you're going to come along and you're going to poke the tops of these balloons. Just that little top part, that's all you need to do. And that is to break up the ice that's forming just on the top of that. The way that the ice is going to form, it's going to form around the outside of the balloon first and then freeze towards the center. So you poke that little bit to make sure that no ice is forming there. Now that your lanterns are in the freezer, it's a perfect time to dress your candles and enchant them. Grab the cinnamon. I am putting a little in the palm of my hand and I'm enchanting it. Basically what I'm doing is herbs have a lot of different properties. And so I'm telling the herb what I want it to do in this case for this particular spell. Same thing with the ginger. And what I'm asking of these herbs, I'm just basically telling them, I want you to melt away, burn away, dissolve away all the barriers in my path. And you can do this in any way that feels right to you. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Do it according to your tradition, your path, or however you can speak from your heart in that way. And I'm grabbing my little chili peppers and the same thing. And if you don't have any or all of these herbs, you can just do a quick search on the internet for herbs that are good for breaking barriers, heating things up. Eventually, once I have my Patreon up, I will have resources there in my Discord that everybody who's a member of Patreon will be able to have access to. But there's lots of other resources easy to find. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to charge these up with more intention. And you know what? Think about other ways that you could use the concept of this spell. You could do this for a full moon or maybe even for Yule and use different herbs and different intentions. Quite easily, you could definitely adjust this in a lot of different ways. So 5 hours later, I went and checked these out and I poked the top, and you can kind of push your finger inside and feel how thick the ice is and kind of gauge in that way whether it's ready to come out or not. It may take a little more or less time depending on how cold your freezer is or how cold it is outside if you're using that option. Now, this next part you want to do in the sink, and you will see why in a minute. Now, you'll notice I cut the top off that balloon, and now I'm checking it to make sure the ice is as thick as I thought it was, and it is, because if it's not, at this point you can put it back in the freezer. And this is so satisfying. This is all the water in the middle part that didn't freeze. So that's why you want to do it in the sink, because otherwise you could make a heck of a mess. And now I'm going to grab my scissors and cut the rest of the balloon away. And it just will peel right off. And there you have it. So cool, you guys. Look at that. Now what I'm doing here, I want the opening to be big enough to not only put the tea light in, but also big enough that the ice won't drip down as it melts onto the tea light and put it out. So you want to make the opening a little bit wider. I'm using a little warm water, and try to make sure that the water doesn't go inside of the globe. You want it to just stay on the outside there so it doesn't melt your globe. So you just do it carefully to widen that opening, just like that. Perfect. And here's how they turn out. This is so flippin' cool, you guys. Can you even believe this? It's also super drippy and really cold. So let's go and set these outside and get this spell going. And here are the candles that we prepared earlier, all ready to go. And I'm grabbing my globes and setting them out there. You don't want to hold them for too long because the heat from your hands will melt them a little bit. Plus, it really hurts if you hold them for too long. So I'm just kind of arranging them in, just a pleasing arrangement. Another thing that would be really neat to do with these is make enough to line your walkway if you're having people over for Imbolc. Maybe, after the pandemic. That would be a really cool thing. And I use a long lighter to get them all lit. If you don't have a long lighter handy, you guys, an incense stick works really well. Also, kitchen witch tip, try a spaghetti stick because you can light a spaghetti stick on fire and also that will work. Now, one of the things that I like to do is just meditate on these. I visualize all of my obstacles in that ice and the candles, the heat of the candles melting them away. It's really cool as you watch them melt. I just think these are amazing. Don't leave these unattended. Make sure you keep an eye on them. I hope you guys really enjoyed this little Imbolc spell. What kind of obstacles do you want to get out of your life? Here's your opportunity. And all you need is a little candle, a few herbs, and a balloon. I hope you guys decide to try this one because it's just so satisfying. And it is beautiful. If you do this spell and you take pictures of it to put on Instagram, make sure that you tag me at Mickie Mueller and feel free to use our hashtag Studio Coven because if you've already subscribed to my channel, you're in the Studio Coven. And all that means is that you're a creative witch who likes to learn new things and use your ingenuity to create magic in your life. Since I shared a few of the things that I'm releasing out of my life, maybe you would like to do the same. Feel free to drop a comment below and let me know a couple of the obstacles that you're planning on melting out of your life this Imbolc. Thanks for joining me here, guys. I hope that you have a beautiful Imbolc. Here's a couple more videos that I think you might enjoy, and I hope to see you guys here next time. Until then, stay safe, healthy, and happy, and remember as always to be your magic. Bye.